Namaste, everyone. My name is Stefano. We'll do some yoga together. There will be a few classes of about 1 hour coming up, and let's get started. So we'll start the class with a little bit of centering and breathing. Let's just take 2 deep breaths in, followed by 2 big sighs out. We might all need this. And just resting cross-legged on the floor onto your mat and just watching how you're breathing. Relax your arms onto your knees. Try to lengthen the spine and lower your shoulders. And just becoming aware of the breath, of the sounds in your surroundings. And just as you breathe, just try to let go. And just calm down, wind down. This class will be about 1 hour. We'll be focusing a little bit on our immune system, which is really essential at these times. And I'll start with the yoga breathing exercise, Pranayama. We'll start every class this way. So we start by practicing what is called Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi means you're going to breathe deeply, using the capacity of your lungs, starting from the abdomen and breathing in and out through the nose. And then to move to Ujjayi, you're just going to try to restrict the flow of air through your throat and make a little sound, kind of like a hiss, on your inward and outward breath. It might be hard to hear it, but you'll certainly be aware of this. This will slow down the air, warm up the whole space in your throat, keep it nice and healthy. Ujjayi breathing, you can close your eyes, relaxed, and try to keep your spine nice and long. While we're here, I advise you to also have something that looks like a block handy. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a book. We might need it, and you might need it already in case you're not able to really lengthen with your spine. You can just place that or the edge of a cushion, pillow, or whatever you can lift up on its edge, and that will help you to create the length you need in the hips to maintain a long and open spine. And as you go, you just start relaxing and you just start to lose touch with your senses. You forget about the sounds and the sights around you. You slowly let go of all the thoughts that have been bugging you all the time, all the news. You just slowly let go and just become aware of your body and your breath. So we're going to commence the class with a little warm-up, and then we'll move into some energy, focusing today on the immune system, and then we'll finish off with a little bit more stretches, a little bit of guided relaxation, and a sample of mantra meditation. So let's get started, finishing off with our Ujjayi breathing. With the next exhalation, we open our eyes again, release the arms down alongside the torso, and as we breathe in, we lift both arms up to the ceiling or the sky. We interlace the fingers, we press up into the hands, and we lengthen. We turn up to gaze at the backs of those hands, and we inhale to lengthen the spine, lengthen the arms, stretch through the shoulders. And 1 full breath here. And the end of the next inhalation, you separate the fingers and you exhale to bring the arms down and behind, interlacing the fingers behind you. Inhale, stretch back, gently arch the top of the spine. Stretch those arms back, feeling the whole length of your arms stretching. And with the next exhalation, the arms come forward and we interlace the fingers. Opposite movement, press forward, pulling your shoulders down and just inhaling into the tops of the shoulders, stretching that space right up there. And in between the shoulder blades, we often hold tension and knots in there, just undoing those as you breathe. With the next inhalation, you lift back up. Separate the hands. Exhale, arms down, hinge forward. So as we say, hinge forward. The movement should be happening at the hip creases, the gap between your thigh bones and your pelvis. The spine should be coming down together without any bend. So not too far, you'll feel something in the hips. That's what we're after. Inhale, lift back to center. Exhale and release. We're gonna swap those legs so that we can even out that stretch. Inhale, lift both arms up. This time palms facing each other. Exhale, bend to the left. Left hand comes to the floor, right arm going overhead. Big challenge here is to keep the right hip on the floor. It tends to lift usually. Moving slowly and breathing to stretch the right side of your torso. Exhaling to lower even further, only if you can. Inhale, lift back up, palms facing each other. Exhale, down to your right. Right hand to the floor. And it's looking easy for me because I'm on the grass, but bringing that elbow to the floor is a bit more challenging if you're on a solid surface. So just listen to your body, see where your left hip is. You need to bring it to be firmly in contact with the floor and just lengthening the left side of your torso. Inhale, lift back up one more time. As we exhale this time, we open the torso to the left, lowering both arms, right hand outside of the left thigh, left fingers reaching the floor or the book behind you. Big inhale here, and as you exhale, you go in a little bit deeper. You take the chin over the left shoulder and you gaze at the river behind you. And then we inhale, we'll keep the right hand there and we sweep the left arm forward and across, elbow over elbow, bend both of them right over left. Right fingers get a hold of the left palm, wrist or forearm, inhale and lift. Breathe into the shoulders, exhale and release. Back down, inhale, lift. Long spine, long arms, exhale, open the torso to the right, moving into our twist again, and left hand outside of the right thigh, and right fingertips into the floor or bolster behind you. With the next exhalation, you twist a little bit deeper, mindful that twisting should be led by the spine itself, so it's just a winding motion of the spine. No other movements, no forward bending especially, should be happening. We shouldn't be using the force of the arms, just keep it light and natural. Inhale, sweep the right arm back forward and across. And bend both elbows, this time left over right. Inhale and lift to stretch those shoulders a little bit more into this locked arm version of the pose. Exhale, release. Just to finish off this warm-up sequence, we inhale, both arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, so diving forward, spine stays neutral and long, and you'll just feel something around the hips. We're just starting to pull a little bit on the rotator muscles. We don't want to overdo it, just becoming aware of it. So this is just the part of the class where we become aware of the body. Inhale and coming back to center as much as we can. Try to keep that Ujjayi breathing flowing throughout the class and you'll get a lot more benefits out of it. So now if you were using anything to support the back of your pelvis, you put that on the side for the time being. We're going to move into a little bit more of a warm-up, bringing the soles of the feet in front of you, knees bent, holding the fronts of your knees, and just inhale to lengthen the spine and press the abdomen towards the thighs. We are going to move into Navasana or boat pose. With the next inhalation, you lift the feet off the floor and you come balancing onto your sitting bones. So the tendency here would be at some point for your lower back to round and drive you back towards the floor behind you. Well, we don't want that to happen, so just make sure that you're really lengthening through that spine. And it might be enough for you to be here, but if you can or want to join me further, you can release your arms, place them strongly, parallel to the floor and parallel to each other. And then if you want to go further, you lift your feet, maintaining a bend in the knees initially. And if you want the full pose, press forward, straighten the legs, gaze between the big toes. And if you're shaking too much, or if that lower back takes you back to the floor behind you, then just move back to one of the lighter versions of the pose. One more inhalation there, and then exhale, bring the soles of the feet back onto the floor where they were before, and placing one forearm at a time onto the floor. We come down, line on the mat, slide your buttocks towards your heels, and relax, release. Now bring both knees into the chest. We're gonna warm up with a little bit of more core just to activate and bring that warmth that we need, starting with some bicycle. So here, just start with your feet up high, and if you feel that lower back doesn't like it, you just lift and put two hands under your pelvis, and that will just keep it a little bit easier for you. Otherwise, you can just keep going, and as you go, you start bicycling, and you are lowering those feet down as you go. As you lower, you'll feel that that lower back might want to peel off the floor. You want to resist that because that will be straining. So resisting that means using the force of your core to keep that spine attached to the floor or lift your feet up higher. And then slowing down, pausing, and reversing. And you can also choose to start high and lowering. We're activating here the big core abdominal muscles and the hip flexors as you feel the fronts of your legs working strongly. Lowering the speed and coming to a stop, bringing both knees into the chest and squeezing them in, allowing the lower back to round, and that's quite a relief. There, one more of these poses or movements before we move forward with the class. So releasing the arms down, bringing both legs straight forward, and again, if your lower back doesn't like it, slide those hands under your pelvis. And now we're just gonna do kicking movements up and down slowly, a few times, similar to before, and you can choose the height that you like. The lower you go, the harder it is, and if you're shaking or your lower back really is peeling off the floor, you're not doing any good, so lifting up higher is the way. And 2, 1, release. Again, knees into the chest, squeezing them in, and just relax there. 2 deep breaths into the abdomen, naturally relaxing. And then from here, we lower those heels and feet back into the floor. Just keep those heels close to your sitting bones, relaxing the top of the body. We're going to inhale, press into your feet and lift the pelvis up. So just not too far. You'll feel that the back wants to start bending. When you're at that point, you just slow down, engage the inner thighs, squeeze that pelvic floor upwards. That's what you would be doing if you were doing a wee and stopping halfway through. And now you can just allow that spine to arch a little bit more. First back arch of the night, so just not being too ambitious of the day or whatever time you're doing this. Exhale, release back into the floor. And we're going to mobilize a little bit the hips before we go forward. So we're going to place that right knee towards the chest, flexing the right ankle. We place that right ankle on top of the left thigh. Just drag it upwards a little bit and relax your shoulders and arms again onto the floor. Inhale, lift the left foot off the floor. It will bring everything else with it, and you'll feel something pulling around the side and back of that right hip. And then at this point, you can pass those hands through the gap and get a hold of the back of the left thigh and drawing that left thigh inwards towards you while that right thigh goes away from you slightly. Important here again is to have every part of the spine in contact with the floor. Typical here would be a rounding movement for the spine that wants to come off the floor. We'll need to counteract that, and if we are not able to do it, just keeping it light. And if you can go deeper, instead you can pass your hands around the front of the knees, and that definitely you see how that spine wants to round, and try and lengthen that spine again, and that's really what opens up that right hip. And then exhale to release. Left foot on the floor, right foot on the floor, relaxing and bringing the left knee into the chest, flexing left ankle on top of the right thigh. Inhale, lift the right foot, that shin ideally parallel to the floor. Hands around the back of the thigh or the front of the knee, your choice. Squeeze it in. Still breathing with Ujjayi breathing, lengthening the spine, shoulder blades on the floor, sacrum on the floor. keeping it comfortable. And a nice time to remind you that in yoga, every pose should be feeling good to great. If at any stage you feel that you are challenging yourself too much, perhaps even straining, then you just went too far. Just take a step back, do the pose a little bit lighter, such as like this, and just enjoy it. And then you'll find the point where you start to challenge yourself, but in a pleasant way, which is where you want to be. Exhale, right foot on the floor, left foot on the floor, and release. Both knees into the chest. We are going to squeeze them in and start rolling up and down, feet up, and you keep those feet off the floor. Do a few of these rolls, and then we'll take one deeper roll with the help of our hand. We're going to come up standing around the front of the mat, and I'm going to join you again at the front of the mat here. So we're going to continue with energizing a little bit. So just breathe in and out a couple of times. You want to be sure you're reconnected with that long, regular, slow, deep breath. Inhale, both arms up. And gentle back arch here. Exhale. Diving forward, swan dive, bending your knees so that you can bring the hands to the floor. You're gonna step the right foot long way back into the mat and replace the right knee onto the floor. We come onto the top of the back foot. We are in a low lunge. If you're on a hard surface, this will be painful for your right knee. Try to either fold the mat or put something else under that right knee so that you don't end up hurting. Let's inhale, bringing both arms up and linking the hands to pistol grip, yoni mudra. Exhale, sink a little bit more into that lunge. Watch that left knee. You want to have it tracking the left ankle. You want to have a neutral spine rather than arching back. And breathing a little bit more as we exhale. Now we change it and we do arch back, and maybe we can find those hands with our gaze, and that's Anjaneyasana. And inhale back to center. Exhale, hands to prayer at the heart. Inhale here. Exhale, hinge forward. Frame the front foot. Tuck the toes in the back foot. Step back, and we come into a plank. High plank. If this is too much for you today, bring the knees to the floor. We'll keep it a lot lighter. Otherwise, join me, staying up here. Everything is strong. The shoulders blades are apart from each other. You're able to see the inside of your elbows. If not, just try to rotate those upper arms outward a little bit more. Still breathing slowly. If you're huffing and puffing, just bring the knees to the floor. One more breath in, everyone. Exhale, bending those elbows. You can bring the knees to the floor if needed. We're just hovering off the floor, Chaturanga Dandasana. And then we release. And just making sure your hands are under your shoulders. And you're reaching back into the feet and energizing the inner lines of the legs, pelvic floor. Inhale, press into the hands. We start lifting into Bhujangasana Cobra. Don't go too far yet. Remember, for back arches, we want to work slowly and we want to have the full support of the lower body. So we're not lifting too much, so just keep a generous bend in those elbows. Keep them inside, inwards though. And the shoulders down, away from the ears. Exhale, release to the floor. Separate the feet, tuck the toes. Press up through the knees, lifting into downward facing dog. You should be already well positioned for a downward dog. So in downward dog, the way to go, I'm gonna do it this way, is to press strongly into the hands. Use the full surface of the hand to pull down and just micro bend the knees initially. Bring your shoulders down, abdomen towards the thighs, and that takes care of your upper body. And if your upper body is happy, you can just bring one heel down at a time, and that gives you also stretch for the backs of your legs. So the key is to maintain your spine long and lengthened, and your shoulders nicely stretched. Downward facing dog. All right, so from here, we're gonna inhale and lift the right leg right up. Three-legged dog, and as we exhale, we swing it through to the front. Right foot comes inside the right hand, and the left knee comes down. We come onto the top of the back foot. Inhale, and we find ourselves into the low lunge. One more time, arms up, inhale, pistol grip, exhale, sink into that No arching of the spine yet, just pressing strongly into the front foot, strongly into the top of the back foot. And you'll be stretching a little bit with the front of the left leg, primarily here. Inhale one more time. Exhale, Anjaneyasana. Gazing up. Exhale, back to neutral. Hands to prayer, the heart. Hinge forward, frame the front foot, tuck the toes in the back foot. Step back into another high plank. One inhalation here. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. If you want full pose, 90-degree angle in your elbows. One inhalation here if you can. Exhale, release to the floor. And energize the legs, reaching back into the feet, press into the hands. Relax the spine. And we come up into our Cobra. If you're at the point where your spine wants to bend, rather than allowing all the bend to happen at the bottom of the spine, try and just imagine you're rolling back against a huge workout ball, and therefore every part of the spine is contributing to this. Shoulders down, elbows in, pelvis on the floor. Exhale, release. Back to the floor. Press into the hands. Inhale, lift, and come back up to your downward facing dog. All right. Let's do a little bit more of this energy. Inhale. This time we're going to lift the left leg up towards the ceiling. And exhale, swing it through left foot inside left hand. This time the right knee stays up if we can. Coming up into a high lunge. Both arms up, palms facing each other. Exhale, lengthen that back leg. You're on the balls of the back foot. And that left knee tracks the left ankle, and you try not to arch back. Inhale deeply here. Exhale, hands to prayer, the heart. Inhale one more time. Exhale, twisting to the left. Try not to drag the hips with the twist, it's just the spine leading the movement. Inhale back to center. Exhale, hinging forward. Frame the foot. Back into our high plank. Exhale to Chaturanga. Release to the floor. Smoothly lift into Cobra. Exhale, release. Up into another downward dog. And the other side. Inhale, lifting the right leg up. Exhale, swinging it through. Right foot inside right hand. Inhale and lift. And we're up again. Palms facing each other. Right knee tracking right ankle. Just feeling strong here. Breathing to the abdomen. Trying to stick with Ujjayi breathing. And remembering that sometimes we might feel a little bit fearful considering what's going on in the world. So poses like this that energize, just give us courage and strength to live through these moments. Exhale, hands to prayer, the heart. Inhale, exhale. And now we're facing each other. Just watching out that you're not over twisting, because if you're over twisting, you're just twisting with your leg and pelvis rather than with your spine. Inhale back to center. Exhale, hinging forward. Frame the foot, step back. One last plank, one last Chaturanga, and one last Cobra. Remember, shoulders down, elbows in, pelvis stays on the floor. And you're feeling a beautiful stretch in the front of your torso. Stretching those abs. Exhale, release. Inhale, up to downward dog. And we're going to finish with inhaling to lift the left leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, through to the front. Stepping the right foot up, keeping both knees bent and just allowing the whole spine to melt down. And now it's safe to have that spine bent because the knees are also bent, so there's no strain around the lower back. And you can release the hands off the floor. Each hand gets a hold of the opposing elbow, and you just swing from side to side as you're catching your breath if you need to. Releasing
Ready for a big inhalation as you unwind up one vertebra at a time.
And up the arms go, palms together. Exhale, hands to prayer at the heart center, and we're back around the front of the mat. So, immune system. So what follows is meant to boost your immune system a little bit more. So we need to come back to the floor. So let's just inhale, both arms up. As we exhale, we bend both knees and we come into a chair as a transition pose. And then we bring the palms together at the heart and come down a little bit more. The heels are still on the floor, and then you lift those heels up. You sit onto your bums. Exhale, hands to the floor, and you bring the knees onto the floor. You come up onto your the toes, so tuck in those toes under, and you sit onto your heels. So we're going to start the sequence with lion pose or Shimmy asana. So it's a bit of a funny pose, but it's really healthy for your upper airways, the throat, and it's really soothing also for the face. So it goes this way. We're going to have our hands onto the thighs like this, and as we breathe in, we energize. As we exhale, we bring the shoulders forward, we slide the hands down so that the fingertips are onto the floor. We lift the head up so that the neck stretches a little bit. We open the mouth, stick the tongue out, and we make a ah sound. Ah. Right, if you're with me and if there's no one around that will feel you're too weird, just follow me into this. Inhale. Ah. We'll do it 3 times. Exhale. And one last time. And just coming back and sitting again onto your heels. This time we come up onto the knees, just closing your eyes for a little bit to just have a feeling about the effect of that pose and sound on your face, your jaws, your palate. So next is heart opening and lung opening poses. So a couple of back arches here. So first one is Camel Pose or Ustrasana. So we can see that the hip is on top of the heels. We place, where we are tucking the toes under, we're placing the palms against the back of the pelvis, and we're just going to do this pose to the extent we are able to do without straining. So relax the spine and the shoulder. Inhale here. As you exhale, you slowly start to arch back, engaging the inner thighs, keeping the energy in the lower body. And just, you might be happy here, and you can just stay here. If you want to go further, you can see how far it is to reach with your fingertips the heels. You might be able to get to those heels. If so, that's fantastic. No straining is allowed though. And if your hips are coming back, that's not good. So try and keep those hips nice and forward. And just arching using the whole length of the spine. Chin is still forward. We're not prepared to take the chin back. And you can even come back and get completely hold of the heels. And only if your neck is fully healthy, you can release it back slowly. Stretching the neck as well, breathing into the full lung. And the chin comes back to the chest. We place the hands again slowly against the back of the pelvis. And slow motion, we are going to start to round the spine, coming onto the tops of your feet, keeping the hands where they are. We come into child pose, forehead on the floor. Release, breathe deep into your abdomen. Nice counter pose there. Oh, that's a really nice way to get a lot of air at high speed, creating a lot of nice warmth and turbulence in your upper airways, and also nice way to open your thymus gland, activating it, bringing a lot of good immune response back. And then we bring the hands back to the floor,
We inhale to lift the gaze up.
And we come back sitting onto the heels. So we're going to now do another couple of things. We're going to bring the hands back behind, and we're going to step one heel at a time in front, and we're going to come sitting down towards our heels. Again, we come down, line on the mat. What comes next is a nice and soothing inversion, half shoulder stand. So the way to do it is, if you don't have any high blood pressure, not pregnant, not menstruating, just playing it safe, otherwise just keeping it easy, maybe skipping the pose, staying here. Otherwise, you're going to bring the feet up and pressing into your elbows, you roll up onto your shoulder blades, and then the palms come back against the back of the pelvis. At that point, you can straighten your spine, straighten your legs, pointing them up towards the sky. So if you feel that at this point we don't want to turn around with the neck, that would be really a bad thing to do. So just gaze up into your feet. Try and breathe using the full capacity of the lungs again, Ujjayi breathing. Nice and soothing. We bring in a lot of blood nutrition around those upper airways and the thymus gland, essential for our immune system. Breathing. And if your elbows are slightly painful, just make sure you bring them in closer to your torso. And you can separate the feet, having a wide leg stretch. And you can bring them together. You can do some flexions and extensions as a way to pass time, but also very healthy to activate your feet and legs this way, rotating the ankles one direction, other direction, making a little bit of jelly legs to just facilitate the drainage of the body's lymph back down into the center of the body for disposal. To come out, you bend the knees, place them towards the head. Now the weight is onto the shoulder blades again. The forearms come to the floor, and then you slowly bring the spine back towards the floor, one vertebra at a time. Knees fully bent, soles of the feet onto the floor, and we just release here. Just 2 breaths to allow the blood to re-equilibrate, and just watching beautiful feeling that comes after this pose. Knees into the chest one more time, just one roll to come back up, and we're going to stretch the legs forward and finish the sequence with fish pose. So for fish pose, you're going to come back on the floor with the forearms on the floor. Keep the elbows close to the torso, and then if your shoulders are too high towards the head, just readjust as needed. It goes this way. You're going to slide each hand under the respective buttock, and then just bring the elbows in. At this point, you feel that the spine is starting to peel off the floor. We're going to go a little bit further. We're going to inhale to allow that spine to fully peel off the floor. Your buttocks slide towards the fingertips. The head comes off the floor. And then you try and reach back so that you place the crown of the head onto the floor. Again, fully stretching the neck and creating a lot of airflow. Breathe into the tops of your lungs. Make sure you have no weight at all onto your neck, or you might be regretting it tomorrow. Don't want to receive any calls. And if you have a good core strength, you can release, however, the hands off the floor, making sure that you're supporting everything with the core. And then everyone to release, press into the elbows, lift the head off the floor, and slowly return the backs of the shoulders, the back of the head onto the floor. Knees into the chest, and squeeze them in. And then we can also bring the hands around the neck and bring the chin towards the chest, and we just give a stretch to the back of the neck. Release. Hands back to the knees, and we're going to roll back up to a seated position, and we're going to finish off with a couple of stretches. So we're going to now firstly cross our legs so that they're crossed mid-shin. So what you want to have is left foot aligned with the right knee and vice versa, flexing those ankles. You want a good hand gap between your groin and the back calf. So, and then working towards lengthening the spine. This is called fire log pose or Agni Stambhasana. Let's inhale to lift both arms up. Exhale. Bring the arms broad and hinging forward, remembering that hinging is done at the hip creases, so we're not aiming at rounding the spine. At least initially, make sure that you're coming down slowly. Every inhalation lifts you to lengthen. Every exhalation allows you to come back a little bit further. And if you're stretchy enough, you might be able to have your hands on the floor or come down even further, have your elbows on the floor, your forearms on the floor. The key is, if your spine is nice and long, you'll be stretching the right way, which is the outside part of our hips and the sides of the legs. So it's really some areas that we normally don't have a chance to stretch with our daily activities. You may find a little bit of tightness there. It's just nice to let go and just breathe in as we just allow the heart rate to slow down. There shouldn't be any effort whatsoever here. Just breathe into the abdomen and just watch that abdomen lift up your upper body on the inhalation, and on the exhalation, gravity brings you slowly downwards without any contribution from the spine. It stays nice and long still. And then we inhale to slowly lift back, and we're just gonna do the other side. Again, this time I do it sideways, this way. And just wanna make sure you still have a good gap between the back calf and the groin. Alignment between your feet and your knees. Inhale, lengthen the spine. You can bring the arms up. Nice way to tell your spine is just doing it right is if you come down on your exhalation, keeping the arms aligned with the spine. It will help you guide yourself a little bit better onto it. And then when you're happy with the first bit of the movement, then you can just bring your arms back down and just allow yourself to breathe in to lift, out to descend a little bit more. You can see if we are too quick, the spine is going to round straight away. So just slow descends, and every inhalation we just lift in a little bit more. And if we keep our physical activity light, that's probably the way to go in this time. We don't want to be just whacking our bodies and just feeling overly tired. That would actually give us the opposite. Trying to boost the immune system here, not suppress it. So try and be light as much as possible. Also, if you're going for a run during the day, just no point in just going beyond what you normally do or can do. You just set yourself into a position of trouble. Inhale and slowly lift back to vertical spine. And then we finish off the asanas with the last one. Just lying down on the mat, and we're going to do an easy twist. So bring the knees up and then shift your hips to the right side of your mat. Straighten the right leg, place the right foot onto the left knee. Open the right arm out, left hand onto the outside of the right thigh. Inhale here, exhale, and you allow yourself to roll onto your left side, and you turn your gaze to look at the right hand. Breathing into this, and if you like, you can tuck that foot around that left knee, and just without any force there, really just breathing and enjoy the openness of the spine that you create in this way.
And this last sequence is slowing us down, preparing us for what comes next, which is relaxation and meditation. So inhale, back to center, both knees up, shifting to the left, straightening the right, left foot over right knee, and left arm out, gaze to the left arm, right knee down. If you feel any strain in the lower back, we are going too far. And then we inhale and come back to center. Bringing up the other knee as well, recentering, and we just end here the asanas. So we're just going to allow our legs to stretch forward, feet out, angle between the arms and the torso. Readjusting yourselves as we're gonna get ready for a little bit of relaxation. So just make sure that the environment around you is soothing, and just make sure that there's no direct light onto your face. You can cover your eyes if you like. Make sure that there is soft music, that you don't get too much sun from the outside, and just a few breaths to just allow your body to relax, melt down, and I'll start guiding you into a bit of relaxation. But first I allow you to make those few readjustments that you need to make to just feel comfortable there, so that you don't need to continuously readjust. The key, this practice is called Shavasana. It means the pose of the corpse. So we want to be like corpses as much as possible. So lying still without any additional movement other than the breath and the heartbeat. Just like this. So we can now start this practice by placing the mind onto the body and just watching the body with the eye of the mind and scanning the body from our toes to the head. We are going to look for points of tension, discomfort, and just breathe into those. And as we breathe in out, every outward breath allows a piece of the body to melt down, become heavier, and fully relax. And as we go into the process, you'll just find yourself rejuvenated. So I'll just cover the whole body, so toes, feet, and heels, ankles, shins, and calves. Relax your knees. Relax all the muscles in your upper leg, thigh, and hamstrings. Relaxing your hips, forward, back, and sides. Allow the feeling of your pelvis to be really heavy. Really feel the floor underneath your pelvis. Find your sacrum with your mind, and from there just work your way up your spine, allowing each vertebra to let go and the muscles around it. Going from the lower back, middle back, and the upper back. Relaxing the neck, relaxing your shoulders. The arms attached to your shoulders are just so heavy. Lying there, motionless, spreading into the floor as they melt. Allow your fingers to be naturally curled up. And finishing off by relaxing the face, relaxing your forehead, your temples, relaxing the jaws. Allow the feet to come apart slightly. And relaxing the eyelids. And now you just watch your whole body being completely out of action, completely irrelevant. And rather than letting your mind just jump back onto the other things, just allow your mind to synchronize with the breath, and you just watch your body breathing as you go. And if you can, do that softly. As other thoughts come in, you just acknowledge them, let them go, and just keep watching the breath. And with this, we're going to prepare ourselves for the practice of meditation. You're not changing your breath in any way. The breath is just natural, instinctive. Your body is just liquid metal spreading onto the floor. Not really part of you anymore. And we're just trying to help the mind to stay quiet, stay calm by just placing it onto the breath. And from here, we're going to slowly bring ourselves back to our space, but still maintaining this state of mind, trying not to come out of it abruptly. So we're going to reactivate the body, because we'll need it soon. So wiggling fingers and toes, and just shaking the head side to side, doing little shakes and nods. And just nice to bring your arms overhead. Stretch your whole body as if you're just waking up from your sleep. This is called yoga sleep or yoga nidra. Very different from your regular sleep, and truly restorative practice. And I suggest finishing off with knees into the chest, squeezing them in with your hands, and just a couple of rounds of your Ujjayi breathing to reconnect with your breath a little bit more, bringing breath control back in place. And from here, just coming out onto one side, into recovery. Knees bent, head of your arm, the other arm bent to support your head. And we can just rest here, forgetful of the problems of the world. Rolling back to center, and at your own time, of course, lifting back up to a seated position. We're going to finish off as promised with a little sample of mantra meditation. So we're going to continue with this practice of concentrating onto something, just keeping the mind engaged and away from the outside world. And this time we just shift the focus from the sound of your breath to the sound of a mantra. Mantra is a spiritual sound that was given to us by the yoga system, and it's a sound that helps your mind to stay away from any other thought, just helping you to raise awareness of your true self. So we're going to practice with the mantra Gauranga, which goes Gauranga, if you have not done it before. So I'll sing it through to you, and then you'll sing it back, and we'll just do this a few times before we finish off. So I ask you to just please bathe your mind into the sound and just try and keep the rest away for the next few minutes. Turn. together. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Thanks everyone for following. Namaste. We'll see you at the next class.